Today, in Chicago, the family of Abner Joseph, a school assistant principal who was tragically shot in the Loop last year, has filed a civil lawsuit. Meanwhile, Gaza's last functioning hospital is struggling to remain operational as Israeli ground operations loom. Turning to California, the soaring cost and potential risks of operating the Diablo Canyon nuclear plant are under intense scrutiny, as the state grapples with balancing energy needs with environmental safety concerns. Heat-related deaths are on the rise across the U.S., with 2023 marking a deadly year as high temperatures claimed over 2,300 lives. Climate experts warn that this trend is likely to persist. In Long Beach, the city is conducting sweeping clearances of homeless encampments, issuing citations while trying to offer support, though frustration grows as many residents struggle to secure shelter. Lastly, in New York, heartbreak as a bride faces tragedy just before her wedding when her fiancé was killed by a wrong-way driver.
This is Top Story Today with Brian O'Halloran.
Good morning, and welcome to today's top stories. First, we turn our attention to the U.S. presidential race, where a deep partisan divide is emerging over how to address poverty in America. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, the two leading candidates in the 2024 race, are offering sharply contrasting approaches to economic inequality. Harris, representing the Democratic ticket, advocates for the expansion of government assistance programs, including subsidies for food, healthcare, and housing. She also promises to revive pandemic-era relief measures, like the expanded child tax credit, and she supports raising the federal minimum wage to $15, along with paid family leave. On the other hand, Trump, the Republican contender, is focusing on tax cuts as the key to solving economic hardship. His campaign is centered around extending the tax reforms from 2017, which largely benefited corporations and high-income earners. He argues that these measures will stimulate economic growth for everyone, contrasting sharply with Harris's reliance on government aid. With two distinct visions, this election could redefine the economic future for millions of Americans, shaping the battle lines over poverty reduction and economic recovery. In Illinois, the state Supreme Court has upheld a lower court ruling that declared a controversial election law unconstitutional. The law, which was pushed by Illinois Democrats, aimed to prevent political parties from slating candidates for vacant legislative seats if they weren't filled during primary elections. This ruling comes as a significant setback for the state's Democratic leadership, including Governor J.B. Pritzker. The Illinois Supreme Court's inability to reach a majority decision leaves in place the ruling of Sangamon County Judge Gail Knoll, who previously ruled the law as an impermissible burden on candidates' rights. Although the decision only applies to the upcoming November elections, it may have long-term implications for how political parties in Illinois approach candidate selection, with potential ripple effects for elections beyond this year. Meanwhile, the retail world is watching closely as Kroger and Albertsons, two of the largest supermarket chains in the U.S., defend their proposed merger in court. The nearly $25 billion deal has sparked concerns among antitrust regulators who fear the merger could lead to higher prices for consumers and suppress wage growth for workers. With rising costs and supply chain challenges putting immense pressure on the grocery industry, consolidation has become a go-to strategy for companies trying to stay competitive. Kroger and Albertsons argue that merging would allow them to better compete with retail giants like Walmart and Amazon, resulting in lower prices and more opportunities for their employees. But if regulators succeed in blocking the deal, it could have far-reaching consequences, not just for the grocery sector but for future corporate mergers across multiple industries. And in international news, Canada is scaling back its foreign worker program in response to growing concerns over housing shortages and unemployment. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government announced cuts to the number of low-wage foreign workers allowed into the country, as well as potential reductions in the targets for permanent residency. The decision follows a surge in Canada's population, with over 1.3 million new residents last year, driven largely by immigration. As Canada grapples with the strain on its resources, particularly in housing, these moves are aimed at addressing the growing public and political pressure. Shifting to Ukraine, the country has endured one of the largest missile and drone strikes of the war, as over 200 Russian missiles targeted the power grid, causing widespread blackouts. Major cities, including Kiev and Lviv, were hit as Russia continues its strategy of attacking civilian infrastructure. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the strikes, which are part of a broader assault on the country's critical systems. And that's our broadcast today. Thank you for being with us. I'm Brian O'Halloran. We hope to see you right back tomorrow morning. Goodbye.